The one suffering from exhaustion. Life beating you down, so you still playing cautious. I need you to search deep inside of your conscience. Unleash whatever monsters are keeping you from your progress. I know that you gon' find a way, never give up. Tomorrow could be the brightest day. Follow the light, and I promise you gon' find a way. I know that you gon' find your way.
They are starting the the blackout, right? That's like one of the deals is like, so this is off subject, but supposedly election day, power and internet's going down. Because that's going to postpone elections and cause just crazy fucking vote shit. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll pandemonium.
Fucking out, absolute pandemonium. Okay, so we'll try this again. Yeah, so in the animal kingdom, is victimization like, is it a natural thing that occurs, or is it just a human taught behavior to sit and, be the victim of yourself? Like, do gazelles in the wild sit and, worry about, well, why do the lions always come and kill us? Why don't they kill the zebra? Why don't they kill? But they also do kill the zebras and stuff. But like, to where, do gazelles sit and think about, why do lions always kill us? Why don't they kill other animals? Poor me type thing. And it's just like, or are they like, well, fuck these lions. Like, we need to hone our skills completely so we don't like get killed by them. Like, it's, and that's like the weird mindset with people. Like, I've been there. We've all been there, right? We've all had the pity party, woe was me. The interesting thing is, and people hate hearing this, but everything in life is your fault. Every single thing you do in life is your fault. Now I get when you're a child, there are certain things that you have no control over, right? But once you're an adult, you should never blame anything else on other people, because it's all you. It's 100% you.
Right.
When people talk about addiction, right? Well, you're choosing to fucking be on that. That's the path you chose. Now you can choose to not be on that path, but that's difficult because you just made it harder on yourself. But you did it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And people will like argue and try to like justify it and say, well, I love the hereditary argument.
Right.
When they're like, oh, I'm an alcoholic because my dad was, or because my mom runs my family.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, my brain can't even like process that information because it's so ridiculous.
Right.
It's like, okay, I get that. Now, medically, I think they have proven that, it does pass down somehow, because I believe that stuff does pass down through DNA. It happens to me.
Right.
I bite my lip a certain way. My mom bites her lip that same way. My sister does it. And I wasn't raised by my mom. Like, but we all do it,
Mm-hmm.
I think that things pass down through DNA, right? Like there's certain things that I do that my sister sees that my mom does. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't around my mom enough to pick that habit up. So the only explanation is it passed down through her DNA. But like, knowing that your parents, say, are alcoholics and it could pass down through DNA, then when you pick up that drink, that you are playing Russian roulette more than the person next to you.
Right.
So you're choosing to put yourself in that position almost because like now you have an excuse. Now if you want to go out and drink and do all this whatever, now you can justify it being like, well, it's hereditary. I can't help it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, you should like take control of your life. Take
Right.
control.
You know, it's interesting that like most of these habits, like if you're, the addiction thing, for an example, the drinking thing, I feel like a lot of these, and it could, I mean, I guess it could be relevant in any case of like victimization, but these typical like um cycles that you fall into, it's like people make those choices that send them down that path, usually like in teenage and young adult years when they really like don't have it all figured out. It's kind of interesting that like a teenager is more susceptible to maybe like continuing that cycle. I don't know, that's my own experience. That like a teenager makes decisions that puts them in that, or maybe they see behavior, maybe whatever, like your parents drink every day, so that becomes like normalcy to you. You think it's normal for adults to drink every day, and then when you're a teenager you kind of get wrapped up in it. But it's just kind of interesting on a side note that like young people seem to take on that victimization role more so than like later in life.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, it's like people need to realize that it's okay to fuck up. It's okay. We are all flawed, right? We are all learning. We are all learning stuff. But what's not okay is to remain in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can stay there, but you're just drowning the entire time, right? So I see where it's easy to I see that, where it's easy to just get stuck in that cycle because that's what you're familiar with, right? That's your cycle. That's the environment you came from. That's the cycle, and it's easy to just rotate around in it. However fucked up it is, it's just because it's familiar to you. You are comfortable in that area, right? People from the outside might look at it and be like, "Dude, that's kind of fucked up. Why do you keep doing that to yourself?"
Right.
And then you'll justify it and be like, "Well," but as soon as you justify it,
You've like
like
accepted that as your reality.
that's suicide. Right. That's suicide. Like now you are probably, now to get out of it because you're like, well, now I kind of want to get out of it, but you keep doing the same thing over and over and over because you're just stuck on this loop. And so you keep trying the same thing, expecting different results, and you're getting frustrated. And for a lot of people, that's quicksand, right? You are tightening that noose. The Because we play pool, right? Is the ghost is the hardest opponent because it never misses. So you can't miss. But the crazy thing is that the best you can do is you can tie the ghost. That's the best case scenario. You can play flawless and never miss a shot. If you're playing the ghost, the best you're doing is tying the ghost. You will never beat the ghost. So the ghost of you is the best that you can do is tie yourself. That's the best you can do. Because the moment you reach a goal, the bar automatically raises all the time. Now, if you want to peak out and be like, well, I reached what I was trying to accomplish. I'm done now. But there's always more above it. But if you want to peak out and just live there, then you're going to see that there's levels above you. There's levels above you. And once you get into that like mentality of, you know, winning and losing, I think you I think that's the disadvantage you have when you start thinking winning and losing, you know? Um uh because like the best you can do is ever tie yourself. Um uh People hate hearing this, but everything you do is your fault. And that and I know that sounds negative, but it's not negative. Every action you do in life, every choice you make, you got to make it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You got to make it.
It doesn't have to be
So
negative. It could be very
no,
likely
not at all.
extremely positive things.
Right, for sure, absolutely. Um, People always just focus on. Um, it's almost like with like victimhood. People just focus on the negative. And it's like quit focusing on the negative.
Mm-hmm.
That's law of attraction, right? You literally create your own reality. So if all you're doing is you're focusing on the negative, have you ever seen Law of Attraction or like read the book or like watched anything on Law of Attraction or I mean The Secret?
The Secret?
Yeah.
No, I feel like maybe you've mentioned that before.
Yeah, so The Secret is basically Law of Attraction.
Mm.
But here's the interesting part about it. Everybody I've ever talked to about The Secret, they usually use it in a money sense, right? Because usually when they watch it, they stumbled upon it from, how to become a millionaire, how to get rich quick, how to whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going into it with certain intentions, but that's not what The Secret or Law of Attraction is,
Right.
right? Because they're thinking, well, what I put in, I'm going to get out. So if I put all this in, that's what I'm going to get out of it. But that's not exact. But that's not really how it works,
Right.
right? It's not a karma bank. You can't go out and do all these good deeds and then expect good deeds to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You're just setting yourself up for failure that way. It's
A perception, I think of it as.
right, absolutely. It's the perception on how you are viewing this world. If you are constantly thinking about negative stuff and surrounding yourself with negative stuff and you're acting in negative ways, yeah, your world's going to be shit because that's all you're focusing on,
Right.
right? It's not that, good stuff isn't coming to you. It's just that that's all you're focusing on. So throughout a day, good and bad can happen all the time,
Right.
right? And they probably happen 50-50, right? Because there's a balance there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're focusing only on the negative, then you're going to be like, if you broke your day up into percentages, it's like, well, 80% of my day was shit and only 20% was good.
Right.
But in actuality, it was probably 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
But you just chose to focus 80% on shit and 20% on good.
Right.
So when it comes to like the money aspect or like the get rich quick thing or like how to become a millionaire,
Mm-hmm.
people, and this kind of like plays into into the American victimization, right? Where it's like, I want to be rich and famous and I want to be successful and be a boss and all of this, whatever, right? But they want it instantly. They don't want to put the work in.
It's interesting.
So
that makes me think about like this concept of equal. Do you want an equal shot or equal outcome? And that's kind of like the
Right.
new thing now is that everyone should have an equal outcome, which makes no
Right.
sense to me,
Right.
but
Like you'll see people that will see the game, learn the rules, understand the rules, and then they will go accordingly, right? They will play or engage in the game accordingly because now they understand it. Or you have the people that see the game, see the rules, don't like the rules, try to change the rules to benefit them. But you're really not playing in a fair environment, because if you are molding the rules to benefit you, you are altering it from somebody else.
mm-hmm.
And like you were saying, right? That's not fair. That's not a fair play. Everybody should play on the same level, on the same rules. Yes, we are all not equal. That is for sure. We all don't start at the same starting point. That is for sure. Some of us start, some of us have an advantage, either, financially, the parents we have, the environment we're in, you know, it goes on both sides, right? Some it's advantage, some it's disadvantage. But none of that matters. You just got to figure out your 0 point. When you figure out your 0 point, then you can move and position accordingly.
I have another pool reference for that.
Yeah, get it.
So it makes me think about, like if you're playing on maybe like a crappy table and you have your opponent is like complaining about table rolls and the rails not
Right,
being, up
right.
to par for banking or whatever. It's just like
Yep, yep.
they pick apart the table. It's like, what do you care? Your opponent is playing on the exact same table,
Right,
but maybe like an advantage would be somebody's playing with a bar cue versus a brand new carbon fiber shaft. It's like, yeah, not everybody
right,
starts out equally, but ultimately, you still have the same chance just with your skill level to figure it out,
right.
adapt, overcome.
So to add to that is here's an interesting pool deal, right? So yes, the tables, the balls, but whatever it is, both players are playing on the same equipment,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if a ball rolls and you're like, "Oh, the fucking ball rolled," that's why I missed that shot, or that's why I hooked myself, or that's why whatever, right? Well, no, you shot the ball wrong. It's your fault that happened. People, I love people that will talk about, oh, the ball rolled off. It's like you shot that shot wrong.
Right.
Like, like you should have shot it with a little bit more pace, so the table, so the ball couldn't have been affected by the environment. You should have, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To where if you're trying to get that ball in the corner and trying to get that cue ball to hold position a certain way, and you slow roll it, and that ball rolls off, and you're like, oh, I missed it because of that. It's like, no, you shot it wrong. You only know how to shoot that shot slow to hold it there. There's other options,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just lack of experience, right? You can go, two rails back to that same spot. You can stun shot it. You can do all these other things. It's just that you chose the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
You chose the shot that had less percentage of executing what you were trying to do, right? Going back to the cue thing, if you ever see people in a pool hall or playing pool and they grab a stick and they roll it on the table, they don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So because people will always talk about, oh, the crooked sticks. It's like when I go into a bar and I grab a bar cue, I'm picking the cue with the best tip.
Yeah, definitely.
Because even if that pool cue is crooked, you can roll the cue in your hand to where the bend will go down towards the table, making more like a belly than curving to the side. and that cue will play okay. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's not perfect. It's bent and whatever, but but you can execute just fine with it, right? The reason why people like buy their own cues and whatever is to get comfortable with their equipment.
Mm-hmm.
If you went into a bar and played with a bar cue constantly, the same one all the time, you would get used to and comfortable with that cue, and you would play pool just fine.
Mm-hmm. You look for the
But
consistency.
you're right, the consistency, right? So it's interesting to me when you see people do that, and then they blame it on the table, they blame it on the cue, they blame it on well, that person walked in front of me and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, but you had the choice to stand up, let that person pass, and get back down into your shot. That's called discipline.
Right. Instead of being mad at the person walking through your shot, you should be mad at yourself.
Right. So instead of playing the victim and blaming it on other people, take into account that it's you and it's your fuck up.
Right.
It, it's you that like doesn't have enough discipline, doesn't have enough experience, enough knowledge. You don't know what you're doing. A lot of people like can't take that information. They can't accept that everything in life is their fault.
Right.
I don't care how random the act is, right? When that interaction occurs, yes, you cannot always control that, but you can control your reaction to
Mm-hmm.
it. Like that's just what it is. And most of the time, if you think back on it, it was something that you did. You have two legs and two arms and a brain that put that's what puts you in that position in the first place. Like situational awareness is such a critical thing to learn. Where if you're walking and someone walks in front of you and you're like, oh, fucking rude, and you get mad at that person. Well, honestly, it's your fault. You should have more situational awareness, and you should see that this person is walking, not paying attention. So you should stop and let that person
Right.
go. Or you should stop that person and be like, hey, hold on one sec. And then
Mm-hmm.
go, right? You should have that situational awareness. But a lot of people, especially like in traffic,
Yeah.
you know what I
I
mean?
was just thinking about
It's like,
driving and how people
it's
have no idea.
right, right. Like, like, like people have to understand that other people view this world completely
Mm-hmm.
different than you do. That's just how it is. We all come from different backgrounds, different skill levels, different. We just view this world different, right? So when someone isn't doing something that you like and you get mad at them, you're getting mad at them for them being in their natural state. That's just what they do. What? So when you get mad at them, you're trying to impose your will onto them.
Right.
And it's like that's a weird thing, right? You are trying to control them now because you're trying to control your environment so much because you refuse to, you know, try to work on yourself, that you're projecting it out to others. Like because you're not paying attention when this person walks in front of you, now it's their fault.
Mm-hmm.
But it was you that wasn't paying attention. If you saw this person walking because you're paying attention now, you would stop and let them pass, and then you would continue on. No conflict, no fucking issue, no nothing, right? Like, but because you don't pay attention, now you bump into this person walks in front of you, you fucking are like fucking rude, and you say something to them, and then they say something back to you. All of a sudden, it's an argument. Maybe that turns into a fight. Maybe at the far spectrum of that, one of you ends up killing the other. You know what I mean? When the whole thing could have been absolutely avoided if you would have just paid a fuck. If you just paid attention, if you would have done better. if you would have been a better person, a better human, you know. But a lot of people can't take that information. That's hard. That's a hard pill for people to swallow. That's a very hard pill for people to swallow.
I think once you realize, like I know again with the younger to now thing, but I feel like when I was younger, I used to get much more frustrated with other people's actions, like within workplace or relationships. If they weren't up to my expectations, I got upset and felt like they weren't like good enough. But then now, like I've had work interactions where people are like, why is so and so like this? And, it's just, I tell them they just see the world differently than you. And it seems so
Right.
simple, but that's something that I feel like I figured out fairly recently. And it definitely makes like your emotional experience with the world much different than when you try to like
Right.
fit people into the boxes that you want them to fit into. You just accept them for their
Right.
differences.
Right.
And
You're literally trying to take someone that is more round and place them in a square hole.
right.
And it's like and then where the difficulty comes in is that you're just taking that round object and you're just ramming it into this square place, and you're getting frustrated because it's not fitting. But but that's because you're not understanding that it's a round object that you're trying to put in a square hole. It's obviously not going to fit. It's two different things. They view the world
Right.
different than you do. Like when people call other people like lazy or something, it's interesting to me because it's like, well, how do you know you're not lazy?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because to somebody else, you are lazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, so, and we've all been there, right? We have all probably said it ourselves. We've heard other people say it. We, that has been brought up, and I bet you majority of the humans on this planet can, like, fuck, what's the word I'm looking for? Can like reason with it. Why can't I think of that word? Damn. Uh, a lot of us can. Wow. Have you ever like just like try to like think of a word and it's right there, but you can't say it, but you know what it is, but you don't at the same time. That's a weird thing. It's
It
a
is
weird,
a weird
weird little
thing.
side note.
If I knew where you
But
were
anyway,
going,
so
I would
like,
try to help you find the word, but
oh, uh, a lot of people can like relate to it, right? And so when you call someone lazy, here's the interesting, right? Here's the psychological part of that. Okay, is whatever you are on the inside, you will. Let's see. I kind of want to explain this better. So humans are very unique, right? Because we get the unique opportunity to view what's on the inside because it manifests on the outside, right? So when we call somebody lazy, it's because whatever they're doing, we see that in ourselves. That's called projecting, right? So if you see someone and they're doing something different than how you would do it, and you're like, they're fucking stupid or they're lazy, right? That's because something in you, um, uh, you are lazy in something, and that is your body, your mind sending up red flags saying, "Hey, yes, we've been trying to tell you to work on this, and you've been ignoring it for a long time. But now that you're seeing it, hey, dummy, you do this sometimes. You do things like this sometimes, right? Um, and it's so yeah, it's just interesting to me when you see people do that, And it's like, well, to somebody else, you are lazy. And then, but people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that. They will defend them. They will justify it. They will go in defense mode. They will start, you know, I'm not fucking lazy. It's like the fact that you have to say that you're not lazy makes me know that you are lazy in something, and now your body is telling you that. Because if you accepted it and understood, like for example, me, of all the shit that I fucking do throughout a day, I am still lazy. I do lazy
Mm-hmm.
things, and I catch myself doing lazy things all the time, and I try to correct it, but sometimes I just let it go because I've accepted it. If people ask me, are you lazy? I tell them
Yeah.
yes. You know what I mean? Because I am lazy in
Mm-hmm.
things, right? I'm not lazy in all things, but I am lazy, right? Or if people are like, you know, if someone called me stupid, I'd be like, agreed, because I've done dumb shit. I do dumb things all the time, every
Mm-hmm.
day. I do stupid things, right? Like, like, but the fact that I can recognize those and either fix it or let it go, that's the difference, right? Someone can sit and call me stupid all day long, and it won't phase me. Like, like I won't get offended by it or anything, because like it'll be one. I'll be like, I'll try to figure it out. I'll be like, well, why do you think I'm stupid? And they either have to do two things. They have to either tell me why they think I'm stupid, which there's probably some truth in that, and I'll be like, oh yeah, you're right. I am fucking being stupid with
Mm-hmm.
that. Or or they're just trolling, trying to get a rise out of you, trying to get a reaction, then that's just silly nonsense. You know what I mean? And they're just being ugly people, and they're just being trolls, which which is showing another characteristic of that person, and then you're like, oh well, this is just nonsense. Like you're just being, you're just saying that to say
Mm-hmm.
that. Like it doesn't even make any sense. You know what I mean? But how many times have you seen people like get mad over that situation?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, whoa, like they just won. You, them won, you zero, because they accomplished what they were trying
Right.
to do. Um, and you're choosing to do that. So you can choose to, like, run into the wall constantly all day long. But it's like, why are you running into walls, dummy? Like, you don't
Mm.
have to. You can walk
Right.
around them. But some people choose to fucking walk into the walls, and then they just play the victim and be like, "Oh, there's walls everywhere. I can't believe there's walls everywhere." It's like, well, walk around them.
Right.
It it might be a little bit harder to walk around them, but eventually you're gonna get good at it. You know, it's fucking weird. People like I don't in the animal kingdom. If you kept hitting the walls, you're eventually going to get eaten by that lion. That lion is going to just, you're going to become food one day. You're going to be laying there thinking like, fuck, I should have learned to navigate around these walls, but instead I didn't, and now I got to sit here and get eaten alive.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. I I follow this Instagram uh, account called Nature is Metal. The things animals do is unbelievable. Like the one that I was just when I just said that, and it popped in my head was this hyena got this zebra, and the zebra's alive, okay, and the hyena is neck deep in this zebra's like belly,
Mm.
and it pulls out like what looks like intestine or
Mm.
something, and and the hyena maybe goes like 5 feet away, and this intestine maybe like it's like stomach parts or whatever like comes with it, and then you just see the zebra just start kicking like crazy because the zebra can't do anything. It ran into too many walls, and eventually eventually that's where it led it to. It fucking led it, right? Natural selection. That's what happened, right? Yeah, fucking yeah, it's crazy.
This is a thing you can see on Instagram.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. The account's called Nature is Metal. It's a fucking. It is the perfect title for that account because nature is fucking metal. That's like I've seen horses eat baby chickens.
What?
I've seen deer eat baby bird. Yeah, 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 yeah. You want to think that like horses are like these like sweet innocent creatures? No, there was this horse, and then there was like this mama hen, and then she had like 3 or 4 chicks with her, and this horse just goes over and fucking eats one of her chicks, and the hen freaks out on the horse.
What?
Like, yeah, yeah,
Dude, I thought life was a
yeah, it's
Disney
great.
movie.
Fuck no.
Wow.
Fuck no. To people, and that's funny because people that play the victim, that's probably how they think life should be. Like life's not fair, and it's like, no, this is
Right.
life. Nature is metal. That's what life is. Like there is no, going back to the whole going back to the whole The Secret, right? You choose to navigate this life how you want to navigate it. It's totally up to you. You choose, like when I did that post on and I mentioned that suicide's a choice, because it is. I wasn't promoting saying, hey, go kill yourself. I'm just saying it's a viable option. It is a choice. You can choose it. If this game of life is on a difficult setting that you cannot play on, like that is a viable option. You can do that. That is your choice. I'm not saying go do it. I'm just saying like that's why people do it, right? Because like in how people take in the information, when people take in information of this world, if they choose to not broaden that scope, like and they only see, well, this is my situation and I only see these options and none of those options play out the way I want, so I'm just gonna fucking exit the game, right? It's called suicide. People think, people get sad about it, people get whatever. I understand it, but ultimately it was their choice, right? Now murder is another thing, because that's not people's choice, right? You are being imposed on by another force that you don't agree with, right? But suicide, it's a viable option. Fucking, you know what I mean? And not everybody that wants to, I bet you not everybody that has committed suicide has done it over like sadness or depression or whatever. Because most of the time when people do that, they are a slave to depression or sadness or anger. We are the ultimate survival mechanism, right? That is instilled in us. We will never lock ourselves in a safe and nudge ourselves over a dock into water. We will never do that. Unless, people will be like, oh, well, maybe they were committing suicide. Yeah, well, then they were doing that because they were trying to escape pain, right? They were trying to better themselves in some way. They were tired of hurting. They didn't see another way out. So they're thinking, well, if I kill myself, then the pain will stop. But what people don't realize is that the pain you're feeling is mental. And all you're doing is you're killing the physical. So I don't think you are solving anything. Now, if you were like a prisoner of war and every day you were physically tortured, right? Physical pain, incredible physical pain you endured every single day. I could see killing yourself because you were tired of dealing with this physical pain. But mentally, so you are just trying to stop the physical pain, but mentally you're not doing it for mental, you're doing it for physical. Most people do it because mentally they are hurting. And then and their solution is physical. It's like, well, they're not broadening their information scope and seeing other ways out, right? And that goes back to the victim part where it's like people will like, a guy breaks up with his girl, or a girlfriend breaks up with a dude, or vice versa, right? And that person is like, oh fucking, I'm so heartbroken, and then they kill themselves, whatever. What they're not realizing is there's fucking 7 billion people on this planet. The reason why you guys broke up is your fault. Every time a relationship ends, it is A's fault and B's fault. But how they project it, it's always like, well, it was her fault. It was his fault. Right. It was, you know what I mean? But it's literally your fault. If your girlfriend breaks up with you, it was your fault. People hate hearing that, though. People will be like, when I say things like that, people like will call me like that. I don't have any empathy. I was gonna say insensitive, or I'm right, and I'm like, no, it's fucking the reality of it. Like I don't, like if your girlfriend breaks up with you out of nowhere and you're devastated, you're like, oh my god, it's your fault that you weren't paying attention the entire time. You should have known this was coming. But when it's out of the blue, and you're like, oh my god, it's because you fucking went on autopilot and fucking probably just took everything for granted. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking, people are funny. People are funny. Everything is your fault. And the faster and better you understand that, the easier life gets, the better life gets. Because now you can navigate through it with better information.
I was thinking about something. What the heck was it earlier? We were talking about shit. I don't remember. But yeah, it's interesting. I've been in a lot of relationships that have ended that people like I've definitely been in the position where I'm like, how did you not see this coming? But it is, people like that ignorance is bliss thing. But then, that like desperation to find something to blame it on. Most people don't say, I know I really am not that great, so I totally get why you don't want to be with me. Like, you never hear that from anyone.
Right. And in which most of the time that's probably the more accurate answer. Yeah, that's probably the most accurate answer is like, yeah, you're right. I got lazy. I got lazy in this relationship. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? How many times if I had a girlfriend and the girlfriend broke up with me, how weird would it be if I were to apologize to her and be like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being lazy in the relationship. I'm sorry that, you know what I mean? I understand and I respect your way, or I respect your decision, can we still be friends type thing. But how often does that happen? normally it's like one gets mad, then it turns to bitterness, and then it turns into like these weird little attacks, and like, you know, you start doing weird things, and but all you're doing is like your body's just flailing because your head just got cut
Right.
off. You know, and it's like, whoa, you just need to fucking chill out for a second and like really understand, because sometimes it doesn't happen instantly, right? Sometimes it's, well, most of the time it's like, you know, they're hinting at issues and you're just choosing not to fucking fix them, pay attention to them, or work on them. They will say a lot, right? Both sides will be like, I'm not really feeling this, but also at the same time, sometimes, because it's hard for people to be blunt and honest with the other person and just come out and say what they're, say what they're trying to say. So they will like, try to code it in weird things, or do like, or put them to weird little tests and see if they pass them, whatever. But I also understand that part, because you're trying to get the most genuine reaction.
Right.
Like if they know it's a setup, they might pass on it just because they know it's a setup. But if they don't know it's a setup and they're reacting genuinely, naturally, then I feel that's like the more truest answer.
Yeah, I choose to. I mean, there's a few reasons why I disagree with like telling the other person what you need from them. And
right, because you shouldn't have
you
to.
shouldn't, but like people don't really, like, people are themselves, especially like we're all pretty well developed as far as like who we are and what we want. Of course, we're going to change as we grow, but like in this moment right now, like having someone, unless you're like super, maybe, I don't know, in need of guidance or like seeking guidance, I feel like we're not really likely to change. There's like, you can't change them kind of argument is like really accurate, but it's like, number one is you should only spend the time with people that like you respect. I don't know, like if you dislike something or a quality in someone else, trying to change it makes no sense. Whereas just don't spend time with someone that has that quality that you don't like, or doesn't, or lacks the quality that you do value, or whatever. Like, just find other people to spend your time with. But then also, like you said, that genuine thing is like, I'd rather just see how you react to the world and then decide if I'm interested in you being in my life. And it's not just relationships, like friends or otherwise.
Right. Yeah, just like relationships in
And if
general.
you're not with someone that like, or friends, same thing, just relationships in general. If you're not around people that, it's just like, then they're not really right for you to be in your life anyway. And you're not right for them, so.
Well, and I feel like people set themselves up for failure too much, because they're going into something expecting something, and then it doesn't turn out the way they expected it to, and then they get weird. When they were going into it with an agenda, and that necessarily doesn't pan out for them, and then they resort back to the victim thing, where it's like, what's wrong with me? Why, or whatever. And it's just like, well, you went into it with an agenda that maybe the other person wasn't really aware of. And, communication's everything, right? People don't know how to communicate with each other. And it's just like, it's so funny how, because we fear rejection, and which is something that that is a flaw within you that you need to fix, right? Because this world's going to reject you all the time. And I'm not even just talking relationships or anything. I'm
Right.
talking everything. You know, people don't want to start a business because they're afraid of it
Right.
failing. Well, your business will never fail. I love hearing people talk about failing businesses, and it's like a business will never fail. You just quit doing it because you had an agenda, you had a you went into it expecting something, and it didn't work out the way you wanted it to. So figuring out um, instead of figuring it out and then going back to the drawing board and going at it again a different way, you you just quit the first try because because it didn't work out. So obviously you weren't meant to do that. You know, like people will and then people will sit back and be like, well, it wasn't my fault that my business failed because of all this other stuff. Well, no, it was your fault. Like, like because people want to so I can only use me as an example because anything else is speculation. So me doing like this podcast, my brand, and everything like that, I I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for other people. You know what I mean? I'm doing this because this is what I want to do, right? I like doing it. Like I think I don't have any followers. I don't have any views. I don't have, you know what I mean? Because you have to scale it correctly, right? If 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 overnight this podcast reached 100 million views, and all of a sudden it's just this huge thing, right? Like I'm not ready for that. You know what I mean? I don't even know how to. I I mean, obviously we just keep doing what you're doing, but like a lot of people want to go from 0 to
Right.
100, and it's like you don't even know how to operate at 20. You don't even know how to operate at 10, right? It's a lifestyle. You slowly grow it. When I hear these like millionaire talks and lifestyle, you want to be a millionaire, do this, whatever. I would listen to them all the time, not because I wanted to be a millionaire, but because like the psychology of it, right? And they all speak the same, and they all speak the same stuff, right? Most of it's bullshit, which is funny, right? Most of it's bullshit, and people will argue with me on that, but the reason why most of it's bullshit is because they are trying to get you to buy into their product. Their product is them, you know. So when you sign up for their
Right.
seminars, right? Well, you're paying for that seminar. You're not going to it free. You're they are getting something from you, right? You follow them on Instagram. Well, all of a sudden now they have 1 million followers because 1 million people are thinking just like you. You know what I mean? You are boosting them their their brand is themselves. Their business is themselves, right? And the service they're providing is telling you how to become what you want. But it's like the answer is just do what you want to do. That's the answer. So that's where like most of that is bullshit because it's like get the fuck out of here. Like what do you mean? if I follow your steps, I can become a millionaire. It's like a lot of people aren't even ready to be a
Right.
millionaire. They don't have the work ethic to be a millionaire, because if they did, they would already be a
Right.
millionaire. People don't understand that. Like there's this thing where most millionaires have at least 7 sources of income. Most people can't even handle one job. I mean, let
Right.
alone 7. Most people can't even handle
That's
one source
true.
of income, let alone 7. Imagine having 7 jobs. You don't have time for shit, right? It's just that the only difference is when people see these millionaires and they're like, "Oh, I want to live that lifestyle," because they're out, at parties and events, and they're not going to a 9 to 5. They're like doing what they want to out the day, but that's because that's how they set
Right.
it up, right? Networking is a huge business. Networking is everything. People are everything, right? How you interact with people, how you create relationship with people, that's everything, right? But like people don't see that. They're thinking, oh, I'll just I want $1 million in the bank and I just want to sit by the pool all day. Yeah, that's not
Right.
reality. That's not how that works. In actuality, if you do what you love, you will never work a day in your life. So if you're doing what you want to do, and you figured a way to profit off it, kudos to you, right? Now, when you wake up, you're like, I want to go get a cup of coffee. You go to Starbucks, get a cup of coffee, and you've built up a platform enough to where you take an Instagram picture, and that Instagram picture might get you a couple $100 because you built that following up. But that takes work. That takes time. And a lot of people just want to be thrusted right into that environment. But can you imagine if you get thrusted into that environment and now you're in a world you don't know, right? The world you just came from, you barely navigated. Now you're in a totally different one. You're just fucking lost. You're just super fucking lost. Yeah, like it's just funny how people um they want everything instantly, right? Like entitlement. People that want to bend the rules for themselves to make it easier, they become entitled, right? That's participation
Right.
awards, right? And that's what we're seeing a lot right now in the world is a bunch of people that got participation awards, right? They're out screaming the world's not fair and this is injustice and this is whatever. It's like, I get that, right? Voice your opinion for sure, but you're not changing
Right.
shit. If you want to change your environment, you change your environment. Like if you grow up in a poor neighborhood because your family's poor, that's fine, right? Like use that as your strength and then either change your environment or leave your environment. But a lot of people want to sit in that environment and then just play the victim. And it's like, holy fuck, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's another cycle that, it's like on that concept of, I don't know, just the victimization, just you part of like people that grow up with entitlements from the government, they kind of perpetuate that. They never leave. I don't know, how many stories do you hear of like people that leave their neighborhoods that were poor and go on to be successful? Like, it does happen. It's just people, it's interesting to see that the mentality of people that actually do get out, like that's pretty uncommon actually. Like most people accept their destiny and just remain where they were. You know, if you grow up in like a poor neighborhood, you
Right.
kind of stay there and then you end up having kids and you do the same thing and it's a cycle over and over. People do get
Yep.
out, but
Yep.
it's far less common for people to get out and go on to bigger and better things. And I mean, anybody that you hear speaking that has done that, they definitely, I mean, I feel like it's a pretty common trend to hear that, like, I'm not going to accept that. I refuse to be the victim, you know, and just like accept that that's my
Right.
destiny. But
Right. Right. Yeah. How many? Well, and like, try to figure out. Be like, why is this a poor area, right? Or it's like, here's here's the crazy thing, right? The society we live in is completely controlled. People don't realize that we live in a communist fucking country. We have for a long time, with the illusion of freedom. Like, like when let's see, I'm gonna try to explain this. The projects, right? Poor areas, right? Well, that is a government-based program, right? Section 8 housing, low-income housing. A lot of those people are on a government type program, financial
or
program,
multiples.
right? Right. And it's like, so that is like a social aspect, right? Because that money comes from other people, right? It doesn't come from like, say, like the government owned a chain of grocery stores, and all the profit from those grocery stores went to those poor neighborhoods, right? That would probably be a better way, because then those poor neighborhoods would shop in those
Right.
grocery stores, right? But instead, that money comes from other people's tax money, so we pay for other people's stuff, right? And this is where people get frustrated with it, because it's like, well, how come I have to go work 9 to 5 every day, and a third of my check gets taken, and part of that money goes to these people that just sit at home all day? Like, that's where the frustration comes in, where it's like, why? You, but so people will be like, well, we have to help out the less fortunate. I understand that. I understand helping out the less fortunate, but I don't understand helping
Right.
out the lazy. It's like, I don't want to go to
Right.
fucking
Yeah.
work
I'd
either.
much rather sit at home and build my brand and make a podcast. And then when like, that's the other thing that's kind of interesting is if you didn't have to go to work to support yourself, you could technically just like build something for yourself under the radar and then come out and just be ready. Which I don't know. I don't think
Right.
anybody actually does that. I don't know. I'm sure there are people that do. But that's how I think,
Right.
like, if I were jobless, like when COVID hit and I got laid off, all I wanted to do was figure something out to do with my time to like support myself
Right.
and to build something.
Right.
But
Right.
can you
Right.
imagine just like waking up every day and just like accepting that you didn't have to do that? And how, like,
Yeah.
it's just conditioning. Like, if you get up, go to your couch and just like sit at home and watch TV all day, what kind of a life is that, number one? But like, how hard would it be to break that like pattern? It's just like a cycle that perpetuates itself. There should be, I don't
Yeah.
know, like, I'm a pretty big proponent of like strict timelines that people should be on these entitlement programs. Like, you can have help for a year, but you need to figure it out afterwards.
Right.
Like everybody
Right.
needs help
Right.
sometimes. Like I've
Or
been on Medicaid before,
for sure.
but
Absolutely.
then I got a job, and this
100%.
is kind of actually ironic is there's all this talk about the affordable health care plan, which is, you know, the big story right now with the SCOTUS nomination is they say if she gets nominate or if she gets what is the word, like confirmed or something, I don't know, if she gets put into that
Yeah.
position,
Yeah.
they'll abolish the Affordable Health Care Act. But it's funny, so like when Obama was president, I was on Medicaid, and like I had an under the table cash paying job, so I didn't like do my taxes. Like I totally did that for a while, and I feel kind of guilty about it, but at the same time, whatever. Like I've paid taxes all my life, and then I did this for a couple of years, so
Yeah. Fuck
whatever.
taxes. Tax
Yep,
lives
yep.
matter. Okay.
But so I was on Medicaid, and then I got a job, and I kept my Medicaid. And even though I was like making money, and then like Trump got elected and I lost my Medicaid, like I got a notification or a notice in the mail that you know, I was no longer on the program, and like I felt okay with that because I'm like, well, I have a job, I don't really need it anymore. But I feel like people would probably be pretty bitter about that, even though like I didn't need it anymore, so I deserve to be kicked off of it. You know what I mean? But it's
Right.
just, I wonder how many people actually think that way. Like this COVID thing, I didn't get approved for that unemployment. Even though I was out of a job for 3 weeks, they went after my previous job about like why I left there. And then they didn't grant me the unemployment for this current job for the 3 weeks I was out. But like, I have a job and I can pay my bills. So I'm not super concerned with pursuing it because I feel like it's just adding to the problem. If I collect that money, it's just
Right.
more money that gets compounded on the rest of it. And I kind of feel a little bit like, well, if everyone else gets it, why shouldn't I? But at the same time, it's like not pressing enough for me to really spend any energy on it. I'd rather spend energy putting it behind me and moving forward.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. It's uh
I went a little off track there, sorry.
no, you're fine. It's it's like that behavioral sync experiment, or like that mice utopia, right? Where if you give people everything so they don't have a purpose, then what do they have left, right? It becomes
Mm-hmm.
boredom. And and then people with boredom, like they got to like find something to do, right? To occupy their time. And it's like so maybe with like these like programs where like say you're on welfare, you're on assistant living, you're whatever, right? Well, maybe you need to do 20 hours community service,
Mm.
40, you know what I mean? But then that's just called you have a job.
Right.
you know, like and so I did this experiment, right? About a year ago. So I was always hearing people say, well, I don't have time. And I was also hearing people saying, I can't afford things, right? My job,
Mm.
right? Whatever. So now this is just for people that don't have kids, right? Which a lot of the people I was hearing say this didn't have kids, right? Because people that typically have kids, they have an incentive to figure
Right.
things out, right? So I I got so I decided to max my time out, right? So my whole thing was if I can make $100 a day, then I shouldn't be financially strapped ever, right? I mean, I'm not financially strapped now, but I'm just saying if because if you break it down, $100 should get you
Right.
through a day
Yeah,
easily,
definitely.
You know what I mean? So I took all my bills and I broke them down into 30, you know, 30 days in a month. So how much do I need, you know, today to pay for rent? How much, you know what I mean? I'm not saying my full rent. I'm just saying like I took what I paid for rent and I divided it by 30, and that's what I needed to make that day to cover my rent. You know, so I took all my bills and all my expenses and I broke them down, and so I took everything, and then how much is food a day? What do I do for entertainment? So I took all of that and I divided it by 30, and I came up with a number around like it was around like $60.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to maintain my lifestyle, I just needed like $60 a day. It was like 60, it was like 66 something, right? And so then I was like, okay, so if I make $100 a day, that's well over my living. So I shouldn't live paycheck to paycheck,
Mm-hmm.
right? Technically, because I'd be making $40 over what I need to live every day, right? And that is like everything, right? That is like food, going out to eat, going whatever, right? So what I did was I got 2 jobs, right? So I worked 7 days a week. And now people might be like, well, I'm not going to work 7 days a week. Well, what the fuck else you do, right? Like on the weekends you sit and binge
Right.
watch Netflix. You know what I mean? That's fine. Do your thing, but then don't complain about
Mm-hmm.
not having money, right? This is America. We have the opportunity of everything, right? So I work 7 days a week. On top of that, I broke my time up. So I'm like, okay, I only work or I only have to sleep 8 hours a day. That's like the recommended whatever. But you can literally sleep
Mm-hmm.
6 hours a day and be fine, right? So 8 hours a day out of 24 hours, that's 16 hours. Okay. 16 hours to do what the fuck ever, right? So if I work 8 hours a day, that gives me 8 hours to do whatever, to hang out with friends, to go play pool, to go whatever, right? That's a
Yeah.
long time, right? 8 hours a day is a long time. To do leisure activity, to do whatever you want. And that is you sleeping for 8 hours, you working your job for 8 hours, and then, right? So, so then, so I worked my regular job Monday through Friday, and I made, it was like a little over $100 a day
Mm-hmm.
from my job, right? Which isn't even that much money. That's like 14, $15 an hour, right? Then the part-time job that I got, like I made about $100 those days, right? And that was dishwashing, which a lot of people would be like, "Oh, you're just," but I loved it, right? You just sit there, do your thing, fucking awesome. You know what I mean? It wasn't that hard at all. Plus, if you do it smart, which I did it at a restaurant. I chose dishwashing because like you can literally just do your thing. And I got
Mm-hmm.
free food, right? So I didn't have to pay for food that day. So I actually gained more money in my pocket. So on top of all that, I still played pool at the level I play pool at, which is a fairly high level of pool. Playing in tournaments, playing in league, doing whatever, right? It's not like I just go to the bar and bang
Mm-hmm.
balls around. You know, on top of that, I built this podcast. On top of that, I still had time to build my brand and kind of get that in the works and kind of get that all set up. And on top of all of that, plus I didn't own a car. So I was taking the bus and train everywhere. So I managed my time better. So on the train, on the bus, I was
Mm-hmm.
working on things, right? I was researching podcast stuff. I was researching brand stuff. I was building as I was going, right? I was trying not to waste time. on top of all of that, I still had time to myself to be lazy. So I had Saturdays until so I started work on Saturdays at 4. So I had to leave my house at 3. So I had all, the morning and afternoon to myself.
Right.
Saturdays. Sundays, same thing. I had Sundays morning and afternoon to myself. So I had literally almost a full day, plus after my regular job, I had nights to myself to do whatever, right? To work on my podcast, to watch movies, to hang out with friends, to go play pool, to whatever, right? So all of that, like, and it was, and I did that for a year. The only reason why I quit doing that, was because I wanted to go start playing tournaments that were on Saturday nights. So, so I didn't want to just go and work that job one day a week, right? So I just quit that job, right? And I was going to go back and do it again because being in that mode, doing it for a year, you get into a mode and that just becomes your life. And it's actually not that bad. You like I wasn't
Right.
tired that often. You know what I mean? Because I was always out doing something. The reason why I didn't go back and do it was because COVID hit, right? But after this COVID thing kind of pans out, whatever, I'll probably go back and do that because like I find myself being fucking lazy, and I'm like, God, like I need to like do something, you know. And I like doing it, but people can do that. So there are people that will play the victim and be like, I can't afford anything. My job sucks, blah, 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 whatever. Or you take control of your life and you fucking just go
Right.
do what you got to do. And it's not even that bad. You know what I mean? I had the luxury so I had a day job, a 40-hour-a-week regular job. So I had the luxury of my part-time job. I could be picky as fuck with it. I could literally go apply here if I didn't like it. That's what I did. I went and I applied at places, and I went and interviewed, and if I didn't like it, I'd be like, I'm not really
Right.
interested, and I would just walk out. And then like if I did get interested in it and I went and did it, and then say I was into it a week or two, and I was like, this kind of sucks. I would just be like, I'm done. Like, on to the next. You know what I mean? Because you have that luxury of doing that. So you can literally go do whatever you want. Because all that money is just extra. It's just extra money. Like people don't realize that. So it's like when people, want to like talk about, playing the victim. Most of the time people are stressing about money. Most of the time people are stressing about stuff that they can fix themselves, but it's easier to say woe is me because that attracts more attention. You know what I mean? And that's what people I think are really after. It's just the attention. During this COVID thing, people are all locked down, and then they got to go out and fucking protest. Now they're rioting, and now they're doing all this crazy stuff, screaming social injustice and whatever. And it's like, if you really fucking cared about it, you would have been already changing it years ago. But now, because it's popular and trendy, now you're out there fucking doing your thing, which is fine, but you're not accomplishing anything. You know what I mean? If you really think about it and take control of yourself, like, racism doesn't exist. It only exists because you allow it to. And it's also weird how it's taught in school, right? It's interesting that in school, when we're taught, say, slavery, we refer to it as black and white. But we were all slaves. All of our history, all of our ethnic history has some shit in it. All of us.
You could trace it back. Yeah.
Today, living right now in America, nobody has
Right.
ever been a slave living in America. I don't care how old you are. You could be 100 years old. In it'd be 1920s. Like, was there slavery in 1920?
Shit, I don't know.
I don't either. But what I'm saying though, like those 100-year-old people aren't out fucking social justice
Right.
warring
And
anything. They're fucking ready to get. They're ready to get off this fucking planet. They're like, fuck you guys. Like, this is stuck. You know what I mean?
I would
I'm
think
ready to
it'd almost
go.
be offensive to people that experience something like that. And, it's, I guess, really like they talk about like sex slavery, maybe be like a common day comparison or, yeah, like,
Right.
but, right. I
But
was
they're
just
not
going to
out
say that.
promoting.
Yeah.
Right. Because if they were, they'd be out screaming, save our children
Right.
and not BLM. Because that's the real slavery. I just thought about that. Isn't it funny how they're out talking social injustice, but none of them are talking save our children. Now there are
Right.
movements of that, but it's not on the news. It's not fucking anywhere. The these BLM, Antifa, what blah blah blah, whatever, Proud Boys, whatever, both sides of it, right? They're not out saying, you know what, who fucking cares what this is going on? There are children being sex trafficked. There are human trafficked, not just children, adults too, but children also. That's what we need to stop. But they're not. Because if they were to look into that and dig deep and see the root of that, they would see it's coming from mainly the people that they are protesting or that they are supporting. That's the weird
What's
thing.
interesting?
That's how you know it's a mind fuck. It's a
It's
mind
true.
fuck we're in.
I did find it interesting that I saw some of my super lefty friends on Facebook posting memes about like when that Save the Children thing, it was like hot for a week, right? When they were like finding kids and this and that. So, but then now it's passed and now it's on to the election. But some people were posting, Republicans didn't care about this and that, but now all of a sudden they care so much about pedophilia. And it's like, how can you even try to make that a negative thing? But it's like they politicized it, which I thought was, I mean, I'm not saying that everybody's doing that, but I did find it interesting that I noticed that people were like coming after the right for caring about like the children that were getting shot. Also, not just the sex trafficking, but like how do you remember a few weeks ago it was like a young boy had died and everyone was like, why don't you say his name, kind of thing. But
Okay.
I don't know, I thought it was kind of interesting that it goes along with their whole argument, but yet they get criticized for it. But pretty much anything that's not a part of that big mainstream movement just gets quashed right away, and I don't know.
Right. Yeah, it's before when we're talking about hypocrisy, that is like the weapon they're using, because maybe some of these people realize like, hey, this is kind of fucked up, but because of hypocrisy, people don't want to go back and fact check themselves or you know uh you know acknowledge their fuck up. Now maybe they're too far in it where they just got to go with it. They're like, fuck it, who cares? Like, we're already this far into it. I'm not gonna say I was wrong. We're fucking just going full board ahead. It's
double down, as they say.
Like they double down, right? They don't realize that the end of the game is not a good end for anybody. Like I posted this was a while ago, but I posted a picture of a baby crying around all this rubble, And it's like, that is the prize
Mm-hmm.
we're all fighting for. Like, because that is literally what is going to happen at the end of this fucking game that everybody, you know what I mean? Like you have friends, family members, that no
Right.
longer talk to each other based
Right.
over politics, based over people that they have never met, will never meet, or fucking
Right.
even know
They
who
have
the
no
fuck they
idea what
are.
their true intentions are, but yet they back them with
They have no idea.
every.
Right.
Do you remember a long, long time ago? I feel like it was before COVID, where we were talking about how, like, modern day Americans have never experienced what people have in other countries that are war, like deal with war, like the rubble. It's
Right.
kind of
Right.
interesting to think that, like, nobody here, I mean, really until now, because we have seen, like, war zone-esque situations across the country.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, it's still not the same. I don't believe that it's the same. Like, we haven't seen cities decimated by a foreign adversary or whatever. But, I mean, really, if that is where it just keeps continuing to escalate, like, I don't know, that maybe people will get a taste of what that harsh reality is like. But I think they're too,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I think Americans are too entitled and maybe spoiled even to see that that's like a possibility.
Absolutely. Like, going back to that entitlement thing where it's like, these people are trying to bend the rules because they're screaming that the rules
Right.
aren't fair. And it's like, we all play by the same fucking rules, right? What we need to do is we need to figure out the rules that we all don't
Right.
like and change those.
Mm-hmm.
Tax lives matter. Like, fucking taxes, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. So we live in Denver, and that guy that got shot on Saturday, because that keeps happening, right? That wasn't the first situation. There was the one in what was it, Oregon and Portland, where that guy got shot and killed, and then the police went to go arrest the guy that killed him, and then they ended up killing that guy because he got in an altercation with him. So all these people are just fucking. They're losing their
Right.
lives over
Yeah, why
nothing.
are they even out there? You know what I mean? I mean, I get it. They feel
right.
like they believe in something enough to take them to the streets to do that, but, like, really, why are they out there putting their lives at risk? Like, that guy that died in Denver, why did he mace this person? And why would the other guy like, it's just so crazy that, like, people go out with this, like, I don't know. I think, there's this utopian concept, and then there's, like, a patriot concept, and, like, realistically, people are putting themselves in really dangerous situations, and I don't think they realize how dire it is. Like, if you go out, I don't know. Do you think that these people are going out knowing full well that they could not come home because of some political belief? Do they think it's a game? Do they think it's fun? Do they want attention? Or do they go out thinking, I will die for this cause? Because they do,
Because they do, right. I think a lot of people don't think that they're going to die that day for the cause. I think that they go out thinking that it is more of a game, but then it turns real fast. I watched that video of, so the guy fucking pulled out that bear mace, started spraying, and that dude just straight up pulled out his gun and shot him right fucking, like, they were literally 5 feet from each other, just straight up shot him. And that dude
I
just
saw a
fucking right over.
distant.
Like,
Did you see the one? So that was right in front of, like, the art museum, right? Like, I felt like it was between the public library and the art museum. That's just from the architecture around it. That's the vibe I got, like by Civic Center
Okay.
Park. Do you know where it was? Okay.
I don't. The video that I seen was like the dude recording was literally 20 feet from these two. So all you really see is like this
I
fence kind of in the
saw, like,
background.
I thought it was even from like a cop's body cam because right as, like, for me, it was maybe a half a block away and it was like a distant view and you just see the puff of smoke from the gun and you hear the gunshot. Or maybe it was from the mace. I don't know
Right.
what the visual was, but I didn't actually see up close. But
And here's the wild part. Both those people are Americans. Both those people are someone's husband, someone's brother, someone's
right.
dad, someone's friend. They are somebody to somebody. And they are Americans in this country. So it's like what are you fucking doing? These
Right.
They're not your enemy. Like literally nobody is your enemy. The truest enemy is within you. So that guy shooting that other guy or that guy macing the other guy is literally attacking something they don't like about themselves. You know what I mean? If if that was a natural occurrence. Now, if it was something else, like it was staged, not saying that it was staged, but I'm saying like the guy that was a security guard, there's some
Right.
weird shit with that. Like, he wasn't really a security guard, and he was hired by a security firm that has some weird ties to the FBI back in the day. It's a weird fucking thing, right? So if that guy had an agenda or a mission to go out and, well, when one of these guys starts something, you will kill or you will shoot and you will cause chaos somehow, right? Now that's a whole nother story. But if it's a natural occurrence, you have two humans that have every opportunity given to them because they were fortunate enough to be born in this country. They had every opportunity to not put their paths in that situation, but somehow, some way, they
Right.
fucking chose to be in that situation.
Do you
Like,
think that it was like, I mean, not to say the security guard guy, but like, do these people that are going out, so that's the new thing is, or that's what they want to say is like, this guy was a Trump supporter, patriot, whatever. That's at least kind of what I heard, was that the guy that died was, they use the language alt-right, which I don't really even know quite what that means, but they use it a lot, the alt-right. Is that like extreme right or what? Do you know?
yeah, I think alt-right is like that Milo Yiannopoulos, whatever the fuck his name is. I think he was claiming
Is it
himself to
like
be an
a
alt-right person.
KKK kind of like white supremacist, or not KKK, but a white supremacist, or like a super patriot, or
It's like in between a conservative and a
okay.
KKK.
Well, they want to label everybody,
you know what I mean?
like that, and then also, which I think is cute,
Right.
that they also say Trump supporter. But I wonder what purpose that serves to label him as that. Maybe that he trying to just like portray him as an antagonist or something. But shit, I totally forgot where I was going with that. Oh, I know. The victim thing is like okay. So I feel like you have the Black Lives Matter group thinking that they're victims. And then you have the like, I feel like the patriots also think that they're victims. You have this like freedom, COVID, like, I don't know. you're trying to destroy the system. We love America kind of like victimhood too. And so they go out and fight and
Right.
protest and, you know, try to make their voice heard. So it's, I don't know, like maybe that's the mirror image of the, or like the compared, like comparable opposite of the Black Lives Matter. I don't know. At least they
Yeah.
do similar
Right.
activities, seem
Like
to, you know, be up for action.
they basically drew. Yeah, like they basically drew a line in the sand, and
Right.
you're either on this side or that side, and they forced you on a side, because that's how you have a war. You know what I mean? You To have a war, you need two opposing sides. Well, in a country that most of the time we seen during 9/11, where everybody can get
Right.
along and come together, like like but right now it's just interesting to see how they are forcing sides, because once they have enough people on one side, enough people on the
There's
other
civil
side,
war.
they're just going to, yeah, then they're just going to cause, then they're just going to do something that causes
Right.
those two sides to clash, and that's the Civil War. Like like and it's so crazy that you have people that literally think that their
Right.
neighbors are their enemies, and it's like, what the fuck? like like you could be coworkers working in a grocery store and hate each other now because one's a
Right.
Trump supporter, one's a Biden supporter. And it's like, you guys fucking work together doing the same exact thing, trying to accomplish the same goal and
Mm-hmm.
go home at the end of the day. You're literally doing
We
the
have
same
like
thing.
schoolmates, like people we grew up with that we were friends with. Like I see it on Facebook just unraveling. Like people will post something and then
Oh yeah.
other, and it's like, I can't even believe these people are talking, let alone like hate. I don't know. It's just so interesting how divided people
Right.
are. You have, which actually kind of is an interesting, not super related, but got me thinking, is like how much does social media play a role in all of this, which I personally believe it is an immense role. I feel like the information that we're receiving is what's fueling all of this. So it's kind of interesting to think about who's
Yes.
actually responsible for all of this. It's not Trump. You know what I mean? Like everyone hates him and he says some dumb shit, but it's not him that is creating this racial tension, race wars, you know, thing. It's not. It's
Right. Because it's been building for years. Trump's only been in office for 3. This this victimization, this weaponization of emotion, this suppression of people, this you know, building up all this anger and animosity in people
mm-hmm.
has been going on for decades. Like like it it was going on when
Right.
our grandparents were young. That was even before we were born. But you had to multi-generational do it. So, so say it did start, back when our grandparents were younger, say back like in the
Mm-hmm.
30s and 40s, right? Well, they had to, you know, mind fuck that generation, so that generation would teach their, teach their children whatever, and then that generation had to teach their kids, and then went all the way up until what we have going on right now, because you have parents that have been teaching
Mm-hmm.
their kids how to be a victim. Parents, quit teaching your
Right.
children to be a fucking victim. like but that's what's going on, right? All these like young kids out doing what the fuck, protesting and rioting and doing whatever, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Right.
Most of these are like 20-year-olds, you know, like Like, what
Right.
the fuck do you know about
They
life?
think they know everything.
You know,
But
like,
as you age, you realize you know
right.
nothing.
Right. And we're not even that old.
Right.
We're like in our early 30s. And it's just like, what the fuck are these people doing? That's like craziness. You see these people like I don't get how you have all the time in the world now, right? Like there's not a whole lot going on. Like you can't really go to bars, you can't really go to concerts, you can't really go to games, you can't really do a lot of things, right? What you can do is you can educate yourself. So maybe instead of like like instead of automatically choosing a side and being against the other, start to understand the other side, right? Like, it's interesting. Nobody on the left that I know has
Right.
ever
In
listened to
its
one Trump
entirety.
speech
Yeah.
in its entirety. They only listen to the sound bites that are picked apart and put together in a certain way for these fucking speaker boxes of like CNN and Vox and
Have you seen The Daily
uh,
Show and Stephen
uh,
Colbert? Those
the
shows
Daily
are
Show,
like
right?
extra
Right.
Trump hating. And I'm
Extra Trump hating, and it's like, do those people
right.
even listen to the fucking debates, or to his speeches and stuff? Because like, and I'm not even saying pro Trump. I'm just saying like,
There's a clear misrepresentation. And
not
that's like
once,
whether you like him or not, you can
yeah,
see that.
not once has. So the whole thing is like, well, Trump's racist. You know, he didn't denounce. It's like, yeah, he fucking did.
Oh,
Go.
yes.
He's done it 100 times. Go. You type that in YouTube, and the first
Yeah.
video that pops up, watch it. He fucking
He
straight
even
up says it.
did like
I don't know what to tell you.
So my
Right?
first reaction was that I'm actually interested by this. Like at my reaction to this because I like was saying to the TV like why did you not just say which then I rewatched it. Like I kind of was irritated with him. I'm like you should have just vehemently denounced it and you wouldn't have lost anyone because his whole supporter base is not racist. Like that is not real. So like maybe and even like the super racist freak shows that maybe support him because they think he's racist would not have given up on him in that moment if he was like you know what I mean? Like he literally wouldn't have lost a single vote to say that. So that was my reaction. And then like rewatching that segment, I realized that he did. Like Chris Wallace asked him, "Will you denounce racism?" He's like, "Sure, sure, sure." Like he said it many times. But then they like Biden said the Proud Boys thing, and Chris Wallace had also asked him to say, "Will you say to stand down to racist whatever?" And then Biden brought up the Proud Boys, and then he did say stand down, and like he had a little gaffe with his words, but that was not him struggling to denounce racism in that moment. It was just he got a little thrown off by the Proud Boys thing. They're not racist.
And the Proud Boys,
I mean, I'm sure some of them are.
One of the like head people in that is
they're all races.
not
They're just
white.
like they want to be and they're kind of like NASCAR fans. I don't know. They're like beer drinking, just patriotic.
Right.
Maybe some of them are dumb as rocks, but there's dumb people on all fronts, so it's like, sure, if you're if you're the Young Turks and you want to go and interview the Proud Boys, you'll find the dumbest schmucks you can and watch them drink beer on camera and say dumb shit. Like it's the same thing. It's funny that both sides show a lot of video footage of the opposing side not being able to like express why they support who they're planning to vote for. Trump people look like idiots, you know, Biden people look like idiots. It's just like, you know, it's picked and choosed. But
Yeah. What Proud Boys aren't doing is they're
right.
not out burning buildings. They're not out, you know, destroying businesses and beating the fuck out of business owners
Right.
for defending their businesses. That's not what they're doing. They're not going to restaurants that are making their patrons eat outside and then forcing those people to say, raise their
Right.
fist and say Black Lives Matters. Like
Right.
what
They
the
might be
fuck are
beer
you
drinking
doing,
hillbillies, but
dude? I would love, so that video of that group of Black Lives Matters movement people yelling at that lady because she'd want to raise her fist and say Black Lives Matters. I would love to find the people that were in the front of that and fucking have a podcast and be like, what were you thinking? What was your
right.
message? What was your goal? What are you doing? What is
Mm-hmm.
your background? You know what I mean? I I I would love to fucking understand
Right.
that, because like it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like these, they're out here talking about racism and whatever. And remember when you had all those like black people making the white people
And the
kiss their
kneeling and
shoes
stuff.
and the kneeling and stuff, and it's just like, you
Right.
can't get any more racist than that. You are literally taking what you are and using it to your advantage, because now you become a professional victim, right? And victimization has become the 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 biggest currency in the world. Whoever went through the most shit gets the most stuff, but you didn't earn it
Right.
because you didn't go through it. You know, like you're not a slave. You're not. Yeah, you might be targeted and stereotyped and mistreated in a weird way,
Mm-hmm.
but who cares? You know what I mean? Like, now I understand if you fucking it it's literally all on your demeanor. It's literally all on your demeanor. How you represent yourself and how you communicate is everything. But a lot of people, like this police brutality thing spawns off of, you know, how many times prior to this was, you know, cops pulling people over was a huge issue on both sides, though, right? Because you had cops pulling people over for no reason, trying to catch them with something, treating them like shit. I understand that. But the flip side of that too was you had people being pulled over. A cop goes to the window, and all of a sudden they get fucking shot in the fucking face for no reason, just because that person doesn't want to get busted because they have drugs in the car, or that car stolen, or just because they wanted to shoot a fucking cop. I don't fucking, who knows? Like that is, it's just humans being ugly. Hurt people. So because they chose to not face the true enemy themselves, then all of a sudden the world is their enemy. And sometimes people choose the entire world to be their enemy, and they just want to go commit fucking chaos, right? It's kind of like Batman and the Joker, right? When the Dark Knight sequels, when the Joker really just wanted to fucking burn the world down. But then the new Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, you kind of start to feel for him, right? Like he kind of goes from being this bad villain to like this weird anti-hero, because you start to understand the environment he came from. Now, yeah, he had a choice to change that, and he didn't. He chose chaos over whatever, but we all have a
Right.
choice. You make that choice. It's just bananas how fucking people, how people are. That victim thing is like, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. I've been doing this weird experiment where left people that I know that are on the left, I am trying to see what buttons I can push. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to figure out the root of it, right? Like if everybody had, say, $100,000 in their bank account right now, every single person had $100,000 in their bank account. Every single person was in a relationship with someone that they wanted to be in a relationship with. If everybody had the dream job that they always wanted,
Right.
would all this still be going on? Because they'd be out, being like, well, this is social justice and it needs to be done. Or would people just be fucking living their lives being happy? So it is almost that it's this weird victimization, and these people like out projecting their enemy onto other people when it's actually them. They're out just fighting themselves. So like those people need to just fight themselves.
Yeah, be the change you want to see in the world and look within for the answers.
Right.
And the change.
Yeah. Yeah. Change starts from within, right? And these people out here, like, thinking that all this other stuff is going to change policy and change whatever. It's like, how about you start looking at your fucking history and start realizing that the reason why this country is in the shape that it's in, it's because of the last like 4 fucking politicians that you put in office.
Not the one that's there now.
So, not the one that's there now, right? Like a look at all your career politicians. Like, it makes total sense that, like, Biden's been in office for 40 some fucking years and he hasn't changed anything. That's because he didn't want to change. He actually did change everything. He was changing the things how he wanted it to for 47 years. So, however shit America has been up until that point, that's why. Because the plan was going according how they wanted the plan to go is how it was going.
Right.
Up until Trump got elected. Like, the left have to realize that why is all of this going on now? You know what I mean? And also, why does the Republicans don't like Trump either? Like, yeah, it's funny. And like the sad and crazy thing is, you can't change these people. They have to change themselves.